What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later.
I want to applaud you and your partner, Kevin Nash. Obviously I'm home from surgery. Mostly everybody knows that Kevin lost his son, unfortunately, which no parent has to go through. But shockingly enough to me, finding out that you guys put on a show, and I got to tell you, how emotional for me personally, listening to that show as I'm doing my laps around my backyard, listening to you and Kevin discuss that situation. And I can clearly make this statement that Kevin Nash is 5 times the man I am, because I never could ever do a show after something like that. And you're 5 times the man I am, because being a host and being able to keep it as light as you did, but as serious as you did, all I can say is I'm in awe of you, sir, and in awe of Kevin. Any remarks?
Well, thank you, first of all. But all right, so it was like a 2-day process. I knew that Tristan was taken to the hospital. I knew that it wasn't going well, and then I knew he passed. So, as a producer of content, as you know firsthand, you're fragmented. The responsibility of a show, and then the responsibility of being a decent human being. And I've always said, I said it in one of my books, and I've told people, generally the things that make you a good content producer don't make you a good human being, and vice versa. Most good people would not be successful content producers. They seem to function at odds at times. So here comes this news. I'm crushed, knowing Tristan, knowing Kevin, but also carrying a weight that Kevin has a lot to deal with, and I'm going to need to put a plan in place. I'm going to have to prepare for something. So there was that part of me, that balance of grieving and just disbelief and the pain, and thinking about, my friend Kevin. But then also, Tristan died at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday, and we shoot Wednesday nights. So I got the guys started on a best of episode, and was also thinking long term. I'm thinking in terms of, let's get a replacement in. I don't know how much time he's going to need. but let's prepare to have a replacement host. The old Carson thing, right? We'll call Joan Rivers, and she'll come on and host. And about 6 o'clock that night, Kevin texts me, "What's going on? When are we starting?" I said, "You have the night off, and we're going to run a best of show for Monday." And Kevin said, "I have to talk to the world about the death of my son." And I said, "Okay, I'll set it up." And we went on air without any of the normal segments we do, and we were just going to talk about Tristan and the memory of Tristan. The harder show, believe it or not, was the one that's in the can now for Monday, because a week had passed. And you can't just go back to normal. So it was a toe into the waters of normal, the second show. But that was the hardest for me because, we if you've listened to our show or watched our show, we kind of cover the gamut. There's not unlike you guys. There's politics. There's life stories. There's wrestling. There's whatever we want to talk about. So we knew it wasn't going to be entirely a Tristan show, but of course we're 7 days out, and I realized that the show is kind of functioning as a social experiment too, because fans are in real time with us because we were on air the week Tristan passed. So the shock of that, experiencing Kevin, dealing with it, talking about it, then 1 week out. Now we're 1 week out. And after about an hour and a half, when I was going to sign off, I forget what we were talking about, but I guess it was funny. And I said, "Kev, you're laughing." And I wanted him to realize that we were a few steps closer to normal. I don't think you ever get to normal if you lose a child, but we were closer to normal than we were a week ago. And that's, I guess, the expectation. That's what we're all going to learn. We'll get closer to normal with each step.
How did you and Kevin come up with the idea for the show? Just curious.
In 2018, I found an old pad with notes on it. Let me go back even further. I had a band called Kayfabe Commentaries back in the day, and Kevin was a frequent guest on a lot of our shoot interviews, and fans always talked about our chemistry together and would share clips about it, and always said, "You guys need to do a podcast. You should do a podcast. You should do a podcast." So 2018, we talked about it for the first time. And it's just been, I guess, 4 years of foreplay. And then it was actually Tristan, who's a big podcast fan and had turned his dad onto podcasts. And they would watch, and Tristan would keep saying, I learned this week, by the way, on the show. "You could do this, Dad. You could do this. You could talk about this. You could talk about stuff, and you can be entertaining. You could do this." So Kevin was like, "Yeah, I talked to Sean about it," and he was like, "Well, we'll call him now. Do it for real." So Kevin called me and had like listen, if we're ever going to do this, we have to do it now, kind of thing. And I said, "Okay, well, let's put it together, and I'll shop it around, and we'll see where it lands. Go to the highest bidder."
There you go.
And the philosophy behind this show was, to quote Kevin, two guys talking at the bar.
Excellent.
And that's kind of what we wanted it to feel like for listeners, that you could pull up a chair and whatever we were waxing about, you join the conversation. And I think that kind of personal, see, I listen to other wrestler podcasts,
Okay.
and they're working. I guess being a worker, you're always working, right? And it's, I don't feel that I'm getting the real person, the warts and all stripped down
Organic.
version of the person.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we gave people that. And I think what it did, based on the popularity, was the listeners feel a part of the show. And